Okay, my name is Alexis Garner, and I apologize. I cannot stop sneezing. This is like the fourth time I've tried to do this, so if I sneeze, I'm just keeping it in there this time. Um, so I apologize if you can't really hear me that well. I am a little under the weather. My topic of my research paper is how the media affects body image in adolescents and young adults. Um, I'll also mention men and women a little throughout my paper, but I'm going to focus on adolescents and young adults. So, the um, three main points I'll focus on of what the media does that makes us have this effect on our body image is the ideal thin image, and then the media's excessive portrayal of perfection, and also the media's advertisements that bombard us with fitness and diets and models, and how those affect um, how we feel about ourselves. And so the first source that I will use is an article called The Effects of Thin Ideal Media on Women's Body Image Concerns and Eating Related Intentions. And with this study, they had a sample of 138 females who are undergraduate students around the age of 19, and they made two videos. There was a thin ideal video and a neutral video. In the thin ideal video, they had images of like Victoria's Secret models and those types of commercials and advertisements. And then in the neutral video, they didn't have any people, so it was object related commercials. So TVs, electronics, things like that. And what they did is when the girls showed up, they had them do a pre exposure level of body dissatisfaction, weight dissatisfaction, anger, and depression using visual analog scales. And then they randomly selected them to watch either the thin ideal video or the neutral video. And after they watched the video, it's about 7 minutes long, they completed a series of questions pertaining to the video, and then they did a post VOS, same one that they did prior. And then what they realized is that the people who watched the thin ideal video, they had a huge increase in dissatisfaction with their body image. And with the neutral video, they didn't really see any changes in the VOS. So that one, especially, you can see that it does have an effect, even if it's just a small one. The second study I'm going to talk about is a thesis called College Women and Body Image Perception, the Influence of Peers, Television, and Print Media. And in her study, she focused on three girls, and she pretty much interviewed them, asking them questions about, how the media, how their peers, and how print media affects how they feel about themselves. And it was a great thesis. It was really interesting to read. She put a lot about herself and her own body image in it, and it was really personable and a good read. She did find out that out of those three, the peers had the most effect on body image, but there's a lot of good details in there about television, especially. So, one of the girls said that she was watching E! Online and she got really self conscious while watching it because all of the girls had really long hair and were really skinny and tan, and she has short hair and she's a little, bigger, and I hate that. And so I'll talk about television and how like what we see on the TV, or there's a lot of when you have a favorite TV show and you want to be just like your favorite actress or actor, that happens a lot, and so that affects our body image as well. And then the third study that I will focus on is a study where they looked at the increased amount of eating disorders and problems among adolescents. And this is a huge effect of how the media portrays adolescents and young adults and body image. Uh, so the sample was 718 adolescents, and it was pretty much half boys, half girls. And they were all around the age of 14 and 15. And the study looked at a variety of concepts like BMI, body mass index, body shame, media ideals, depression, anxiety, binge eating, diets, and self objectification. And they wanted to see how all these things connected and see how much the media actually affected body image in adolescents. And the results showed that boys didn't necessarily look at their bodies the way girls do, but it does have an effect on boys as well. And so with this one, I'm going to bring in the male perspective of how it affects them. And so the outline of my paper may sound a little choppy. I'm going to have the three things that the media does that I've already mentioned, and then throughout each of those, I'm going to talk about the effects that those three specific things the media does, the effects that come with those. And so I'll talk a lot about eating disorders because that is a huge effect of how the media affects, especially adolescents. There's a lot of eating disorder issues going on in that age group, and there are some statistics that I will go over with eating disorders. And then there are also a few books that I'm going to talk about, and one of them talks about how the portrayal of women has changed throughout the media, and how like the ideal body image has changed from what used to be Marilyn Monroe, a little curvy, and that used to be the ideal image, and now it's turned into stick thin, um, supermodel status. And so I'll kind of talk about that a little bit. So overall, I just want to get the point across that what the media portrays as ideal when it comes to body image isn't realistic. And I'm going to talk just a lot about the different effects that come from how the media portrays men and women and boys, girls. And so overall, I'm just going to talk about different effects that how the media portrays us affects how we think about ourselves and our body image.